Shrishtam Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasya Krajamuri Purim Maturim Koshtuahitim Radha Kunda Magiribaram Aho Radhika Madhvasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Guru Tam Natosmi Gurave Gaura Chandrayo Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmadiya Paramarada Tama Guru Pada Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtotarasada Sri Rupa Nugacharya Varya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev and to Srila Prabhupada and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vanchakalpaturvasa, Kripa Sindhuvevata, Putitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. By the causeless mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga, we are celebrating for several days during this festival of Julan Yatra the glorious contribution of Sri Rupa Goswami Pad. This tradition was established very strongly by our Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj every year at this time in Seva Kunj. So, in regard to Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, he is known even among the secular scholars as a great poet. It is said, Upama Kalidasasya Bhairave Artha Gauravam Dandina Padalalityam Rupe Santi Trayo Gunaha. The great poet Kalidas, he's famous for filling his poetry with Upama Alankar, with very ingenious similes. The poet Bhairavi, he's famous for Artha Gaurava. That is, that in his poetry, we find very profound and substantial meaning. And the poet Dandin, he's famous for the Padalalitya. That is the very sweet and gracious way in which he puts together his words and very beautiful vocabulary. But Rupe Santi Trayo Gunaha, we find that all three of these qualities are there to the maximum extent in Sri Rupa Goswami Pad. So even from the perspective of poetry, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad is considered topmost. But this does not even begin to touch Srila Rupa Goswami's glories. Why? Because the writing of Srila Rupa Goswami is not the result of some creative genius, but rather everything he wrote is Samadhi Bhasha. It is the language of trance. That which is written in Samadhi Bhasha, the language of trance. In this writing, the subject matter and the object which is being described are one indivisible reality. In other words, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad is not giving a poetic description of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, but rather Srila Rupa Goswami is directly giving Leela Bihari Sri Krishna and Mahabhav Swarupa Sri Radharani in their Vanmayi Murti. That means in the sound incarnation of his poetry. So the poetry of Rupa Goswami and the actual subject matter, the Leela of Radha Krishna, are not two separate things. This is the speciality of Srila Rupa Goswami's writing above all other types of mundane poets. Srila Gurudev used to say that in the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, where it is mentioned, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavayemu Yanti Yatsuraya. From the perspective of Aishwarya, we can consider that it means that Sri Krishna inspired the Vedas into the heart of Adi Kavi, the original poet, Lord Brahma. But Srila Gurudev said, on a deeper level, this means Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavayemu Yanti Yatsuraya, that Radha and Krishna combined together in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They inspired the Rasa Tattva within the heart of Adi Kavi, the original poet of Adi Rasa, the poet of Madhurya Rasa, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. So Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, there's so many dimensions to his presentation. He's a darshanik, he's a great philosopher, he's a Siddhanta Acharya, so he's given the philosophical explanations. He's also Upasana Acharya, because he's shown us the path of Upasana, especially the Swarasiku Upasana, the service of Radha and Krishna in their Nitya Lila. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad is also a Kaviraj. He's a king of poets because he's presented the most beautiful poetry, and especially his dramas, Lalit Madhav and Vidagdha Madhava. Srila Rupa Goswami is a Kavya Acharya. That means that he's also presented the aesthetic theory, the details, the fine details, the technical aspects of all the ingredients of rasa, and the development of sthayi bhav and comparison between various moods and so on. So this is extraordinary that he's both a Kaviraj and also a Kavya Acharya, because we see that, let's say, Shakespeare, he's a playwright, he wrote dramas, but he didn't explain the rasa tattva or aesthetic theory. On the other hand, the famous philosopher Aristotle, he wrote about aesthetic theory and the theory of drama, but he didn't write any plays himself. But here in Srila Rupa Goswami, not only is he a playwright giving drama, but also in his Natak Chandrika, there he's given the entire aesthetic theory of how a drama is constructed in a way that it produces the maximum profound experience of rasa in the audience. So he's a Siddhanta Acharya, he's a Upasana Acharya, he's a Kaviraj, he's a Kavya Acharya, and in addition to that, he's also Nitya Parikar. He's the eternal associate of Radha Krishna, the incarnation of Sri Rupa Manjari. So in this way, Srila Rupa Goswami is extraordinary in that he's shining a light on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna from all 5 directions at once. So there's a famous kirtan that Srila Gurudev always used to inspire us to sing on Srila Rupa Goswami's disappearance day, Yan Kali Rupa Sharira Nadarata. If Srila Rupa Goswami Pad had not appeared in this world, then even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought to this world the treasure box, the treasure chest filled with the jewels of love, but it was under lock and key. And Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the key to Rupa Goswami Pad, and he opened that treasure chest and distributed the jewels. If Srila Rupa Goswami Pad had not appeared in this world, then who would have been able to make those jewels available, though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had brought them with him? So in that song it is said, Kujanata Mathura Vrindavana Kujanata Brajanita Kujanata Radha Madhavarati Kujanata Sohi Prita. If Rupa Goswami Pad had not appeared in this world, then who would have understood the difference between the mood of Mathura and Vrindavan? Who would have understood the Radha Madhav Rati, the sthayi bhav, the love between Radha and Madhav, Ko Janata Soyi Prita, and who would have understood their loving pastimes? Especially here, he's saying, Ko Janata Brajaniti. So this is what I would like to touch on this evening, because we have a very short time, just on this subject of Brajaniti. Niti means the ethics or the morality or the way of behavior. So the way of behavior in this world, the way of behavior in Vaikunta, the way of behavior in Mathura and Dwarka, they are not like Brajaniti, the way of behavior in Braja. Why? Yasmin viruddha gatayo yanisham patanti. See, Krishna is the Viruddha Dharma Ashray, the shelter of contradictory characteristics. And Shrimati Radhika's Prem is also the Viruddha Dharma Ashray, the shelter of contradictory characteristics. And because of this, their way of behavior is extremely crooked. Aheri vagati prem nasva bhavakuti labhavet, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad said, that Prem between young couples moves in a very crooked way, like a snake. And therefore, even though Radha Krishna are the absolute truth, their pastimes are characterized by, first of all, the chalata, cheating and lying. They're always cheating each other and deceiving each other. Even though Sri Krishna is an ocean of mercy, but we see that the nature of Brajaniti is that the Brijbasis, they're always doing apahas, they're always teasing each other. Even though the transcendental realm is a Advaya Gyan Tattva, it is a non-dual reality, but there is always the competition. It's the waves of Prem that cause the Brijbasis, especially Radha Krishna and Gopis, to engage in competing with each other all the time. And even though this love is unbroken and steady, at the same time, there is a parivartan. That means that the sthayi bhav is ushna. It's very hot. And so the moods are always changing. The Krishna and the Gopis, they're always changing their moods and activities. So I just want to give a few examples how Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has illustrated the Brajaniti. First of all, the deception and cheating. It is said, Prema dvayora sikayo aidipa eva riddeshva bhashati nishchala eva bhati dwaradayambadam astu bahiskritaschat nivati shigam atavala gutama paiti. That love is such that it cannot be expressed in words. It's like the lamp, the flame of a candle, which is kept inside the cottage of the heart. If it were to be expressed outwardly, then the wind of pride would blow and it may flicker or even go out. And so love is never expressed directly. It's always hidden. In this way, Radha Krishna, they deceive each other and cheat each other by showing one mood, but really having another in their heart. But because both Radha Krishna are so rasik, they can relish these contradictions in their behavior. Krishna especially resorts to cheating. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has described that one day the Sakhis arranged that Radha and Krishna should meet together in a Keshar Kunj, the Kunj of Kesha flowers. But when Krishna was on his way there, he met with Padma, the Sakhi of Chandravali, and she took him in another direction. And time passed there. And in the meantime, Radharani was waiting with Krishna with a broken heart. And eventually she became upset and she just left that place. So finally, when Krishna extracted himself from the Kunj of Chandravali, then he went to the Kunj where he was supposed to meet with Radhika, the Kesha Kunj. But when he arrived there, he saw Radharani's broken ornaments scattered here and there. He saw the chasaka, the cup of the honey wine sitting undrunk. And so he could understand that Radharani had made all arrangements to please him, but then he had not come. And in frustration, she'd broken her ornaments, scattered them, and left. So now Krishna thought, I'm in big trouble. What should I do now? At that time, Krishna takes shelter of, though he's Satyabharatam Satyaparam Satyam, he's the absolute truth and his words are always true. But in Braja, he takes shelter of deception. Krishna thought, what can I do? So then he went to another Kunj where there was the Nag Keshar. So the arrangement was that Radha and Krishna should meet in the Keshar Kunj. But in Braja, there are two types of flowers called Keshar. One is called Bakul. Bakul is called Keshar. And that's where they were supposed to meet. But there's another type of kunj, and that's called Nag, another type of Keshar, and that's called Naga Keshar. So Krishna thought, oh, if I go to the Nag Keshar Kunj and pick some flowers from there, then I'll have the evidence that I too have been waiting the whole night, but Radharani did not come to meet with me. And then we can just say, oh, there was a misunderstanding. When you said Keshar Kunj, you meant Bakul, but I thought you meant Nag Keshar. It was just a completely innocent misunderstanding. And so in this way, Sri Krishna picked the Nag Keshar flowers and he set off to meet with Radharani, now with the evidence that he is innocent. He has an alibi. It was a genuine misunderstanding, and he has proof of his legitimate excuse. So, of course, when Sri Krishna arrives there, then Lalita Sakhi is very upset, as Srila Rupa Goswami has described. Radam babi bajapate kritamatmajena kutam managapi vilokya vilovidakshim vagbangi bistvamachirena vilajyantim deving gunai sulalitam lalitam namami. If Krishna will come to meet with Radhika and speak even some slight crooked words, at once Lalita Sakhi will become furious and chastise him with harsh words. So Sri Krishna arrived there at the Kunj and said, oh, just see, when I was waiting there the whole night in this Kunj, then I picked these flowers, and you can see the honey is dripping from these flowers. Why? Because they're feeling so much sympathy for my pain and for my separation. Even these flowers are crying. So in this way, Sri Krishna is very clever, and because of the nature of Prem, the Brajaniti, Krishna is engaged in deception. Another aspect of Brajaniti, the second aspect, is teasing. Srila Rupa Goswami has manifested the words of Purnamasi Devi, Stotram yatra tatastatam prikatayats chittasya date byatam Ninda pi pramadam prayachati parihasasrayam vibrati doshena shaitam gunaina gurutam kena pinavatam vati premna swarasikasya kasya chidayam vikridati prakriya. Oh, in this Braja, if lover and beloved meet, if one will praise the other one, then the other one will think, oh, he has no love, or she has no love. Why? Because when people don't really have a relationship with each other very deeply, then they'll tend to be very polite. But persons who are very, very close, they don't hold on to such formalities. And just for joking, they may speak ill of each other or criticize each other. And this gives great joy. So ninda pi pramadam prachati parihasam sriyam vibrati. When they do ninda, when they criticize each other, then they feel great joy. But if they were to speak praise of each other, then they would wonder, why has my beloved become so tatastha, so neutral towards me? So ninda, criticism, is like smoke. No one likes smoke in their face. But if agur is added to smoke, then it becomes incense, and everyone likes the fragrance of incense. So in the same way, when ninda, which is like smoke, is mixed with prem, then it's a cause of great joy. Mm-hmm. Also, Krishna is teasing gopis, and gopis also tease Krishna. Sometimes Radhika, by her glance, she causes Krishna to be so bewildered that he drops his flute, and Radhika steals his flute. Then later, when Krishna discovers my flute has gone, then Krishna, he begs them, please give it back. Abradhe Rani de taro bangsi mori jo bangsi mori prana basata hai wo bangsi gai chori. Ab Radhe Rani de daru bangsi mori. Oh Radhika, please return my flute. Give me my flute back. My pran is living in this flute, and now it has been stolen by someone. I think it was you, so please return my flute. So at that time, the gopis, they tease Krishna quite cruelly. Krishna asks, Kaisi me gao radhe, kaisi bajao, kaisi me lao gaya geri. Oh, how will I sing? How will I play? How will I gather my cows together? So gopis tease Krishna. Mukh se gao kanha, kar se bajao, lakuti se lao gaya geri, ab Radhe Rani, de taru bangsi mori. Oh Krishna, you can sing with your mouth. Why do you need this piece of bamboo? You can play music by clapping your hands. And you can use your stick to collect your cows. Why do you need this flute? You're a prince. You're the son of the king. And bamboo is worth nothing. It's available everywhere in the forest. Why are you crying over this? So in this way, the nature of Brajaniti is a teasing. The next aspect of the Brajaniti is a prema kalaha, quarreling or loving competition. The Brij Basis, especially Krishna and Gopis, they're always competing with each other. If Krishna has Abhishek to become the Yuvraj, then Braj Gopis make Abhishek to make Radharani Vrindavaneshwari. If Krishna makes Shamakund with his heel, then Radhika will make Radhakund with her toe. If Krishna will brag about wrestling, then the Sakis will say, oh Krishna, you can wrestle with your friends, but you cannot wrestle with our Saki Shrimati Radhika. If Krishna will steal Braja Gopi's clothing, the Gopis steal Krishna's flute. If Krishna will plant his mother's pearl necklace to grow pearl trees, then Gopis will plant all the pearl ornaments of all their families. In this way, it's the nature of Prem. It causes competition. Radha and Krishna engage in holy lila, throwing color at each other. This is a competition. They engage in jalkali, splashing in the water. If in the Rasa Lila, Sri Krishna will sing in the 5th note, Gopis will sing in the 7th note. So in this way, the Prem causes the competition always. It is said in Braj Bhasha, Prema path ke sabi bat sabasir ke hota hai, which means that on the path of Prem, then all the weights are 1/4 heavier than the other weights. The meaning is this, that if you go to a marketplace and you want to buy something, so the person who's selling the products there, he has some weights. It may be 1 kilo, 1 1/4 kilo, 1 1/2 kilo, 1 3/4 kilo, 2 kilos. So each weight is 1/4 heavier than the next one. But in Braja, all of the weights are 1/4 heavier than all of the others. So this Brajabhasa saying is there to show that whatever situation Krishna and the Gopis are in, they're always trying to outdo each other. So Srila Rupa Goswami Pad in his Utkalika Vallari, there he's described about the competition between Sri Krishna's flute playing and Radhika playing on the veena. Rupa Goswami Pad said, Stambam prapanchati yashiki pincha moli, Venorapi pravalayan swarabanga uchai, Nadaka dakshanam avapsasi te mahatya, Vrindavaneshri samay sravanati titvam. Oh, when will that day come? When a beautiful sound will be the guest of my ears. What is that? Rupa Goswami is praying, when will I be there as Rupa Manjari? And I see that Sri Krishna is playing on his flute. The love in his heart is inexpressible and overflowing from his lips and spreading everywhere in the form of his flute son. And Radhika being overwhelmed by the vibhav of the Venugit, then Radharani is playing on her Mahati Veena. But as Radharani is playing, she plays in such an exquisite way. She's not just plucking the strings of her Veena, she's playing on Sri Krishna's heart strings. And Sri Krishna becomes stunned. So stambam prapanchati. The moment Sri Krishna becomes stunned, then his fingers cannot move. And he's just playing one note. And this one note is going on and on and on without any further note until he's running out of breath. And then the note begins to waver and then just disappears. And then only Radhika is playing. Or when will I experience this competition of Prem between Radha and Krishna expressed through his flute playing and Radhika's Veena playing? So in this way, there's always competition. So deception, teasing, competition. And the fourth one, which is very important, is the changing of moods. Nija prana palotate saki jog doli ke pan. It said that just as a person who's selling betel leaf, he's always splashing some water on his stall. and he never lets the betel leaf sit in one place. He's always turning them over and changing their position. So in the same way, Radhika and the Sakhis, they're always continuously changing their moods. And so this is very astonishing for Sri Krishna. So I want to give one small example given by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, which really illustrates his amazing revelation. Sri Krishna, after meeting with Radhika, he was returning to meet with his friends. And he was thinking to himself, how is Srimati Radhika? Mudram darya mayim shanam vitanuteta arunya lakshmi kshanam sopekshaksham amata noti baniti outsokybada kshanam sudham dristimitakshanam pranayate prankat katakshakshanam roshena pranayena chakalitudira dha duda bidyate. One moment I look at Srimati Radhika and she's the darya mayi. She's completely patient and completely composed and steady like a sage. And then the next moment I look at her and she's Tarunya Lakshmi Kshanam. She's completely fickle and restless like an adolescent girl. 1 minute, Sopek Shakshana Mata Noti. 1 minute she's completely neglecting me, looking the other way, not talking at all. And then the next moment, Agusokya Bhaja Kshanam. She's filled with eagerness and she cannot stop speaking. She wants to express and speak to me about so many things. One moment, Shuddham Dristimitakshanam. She looks at me in a very straightforward way with the pure eyes, very, very pure. But then the next moment, Pranayate Prankat Kataksakshanam. She glances at me with a sidelong glance, which is filled with desire to meet with me alone in one solitary secret kunj. So I cannot understand this Radhika. Roshena Pranayena Chaklita Di Radha Dvija Birjate. It seems that she's so angry, and also she feels so much oneness with me that these two moods have split her heart into two pieces, and it seems that they're actually two different persons. There are two Radhas in one form. So this is the Krishna's realization that when he meets with Radhika, her moods are changing in such extreme ways that it seems as if there are two or more Radhikas, and Krishna never knows which Radharani will I get at any given moment. In this way, Sri Krishna becomes amazed. This is the nature of rasa. Rasai saras chamatkaro yambina na raso rasa. The essence of rasa is chamatkar, astonishment. And without that astonishment, there is no rasa. So Krishna himself, who is the Akila Rasamrita Murti Prasimara Ruchi Ruda Taraka Pali Kalitala Shama Lalito Radha Prayan Vidurjayati, Rupa Goswami Pad said, Krishna is the embodiment of all rasa, which is filled with astonishment. But Krishna himself is astonished by the prem of Srimati Radhika. So this is the Brajaniti revealed by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. If Srila Rupa Goswami Pad had not expressed it, then who would know? No one would know. It is such an inconceivable subject. So we're eternally indebted to Srila Rupa Goswami. So on this celebration of his disappearance, I offer my prayers. Adadanastinam dantair idam yache puna puna Srimad Rupa padam bodho dulisham janma jammani. Taking a straw between my teeth and bowing down, I'm begging again and again, may I become just like a particle of dust on the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prem, Prayojan, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for walking us through Vraj and eternal relationship of Sri Rupa Goswami, and then walking us through how, in what mood we should be worshipping. So it's very beautiful, and you brought us back to life in terms of how we should be thinking about Vraj Dham, and I can see the beautiful Vraj Dham behind you. So it's. It's beautiful.
I'm very grateful. Thank you for giving me this short opportunity to give a Shraddha Pushpanjali, the offering of flowers of a few words at the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami for my own purification. And you mentioned that you've been reading the Gaudiya Darshan.
It's work in process, Prabhuji. It's very difficult. It's very dense.
Well, it's only the first part. The first part is difficult, and if you can get past the first part, the rest is much more easy. But you can see if you jump to page 119, I've written a commentary, So if you go straight to page 119 and read the commentary first, then when you go back to the beginning and read the book, you'll find it much more easy to read. I knew that it was very challenging. Srila Gurudev himself, in his introduction, he said that it's very challenging, the first part. So I felt it was necessary to write a commentary. And devotees are commenting that when they read that first, then when they read Srila Prabhupada's lecture, it's much more easy sailing to go through it and come to his more rasic points, which come later in the lecture. So thank you very much for spending some time to try to study that. It was one of the later contributions that Srila Gurudev shared with us from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, and it's very, very valuable. And just before I go, I'd like to say once again, pranam to all the devotees. And if you'd like to join us during Kartik, Braj Mandal Parikrama, we'll be studying Srila Rupa Goswami's bheda-abheda-tattva for the whole month of Kartik this year in the Kartik Brata. So you're welcome to join us in Anandam Gaudiya Ashram, and you can contact me by email or by prem108@gmail.com, or by Facebook or Chaitanya Academy International on Facebook, if you like to participate in that parikrama and spend 1 month studying the beautiful poetry of Srila Rupa Goswami, Sri Bheda-abheda-tattva. Thank you so much. I've taken too much of your time. My pranams again and again. Radhe Shyam.